Hello and welcome to Cinebuck Presents, where I give my $2 instead of my 2 cents. When I first saw the trailers for this movie, my initial thought was, really? A live-action Peter Rabbit movie? It'll be like the live-action Cat in the Hat movie all over again, serving as just another slap to the face of its original creator. It wasn't until later that I learned that the trailers may have been a little misleading in the way they marketed the film. As it turns out, there are some audiences and critics that actually kind of like it. Did I personally like it? Well, before I answer that, let me tell you a little bit about its story. Loosely based on the children's book of the same name, it stars Peter Rabbit, who often gets into trouble trying to steal the produce from old McGregor's vegetable garden. One day, old McGregor succumbs to a fatal heart attack while out gardening. He passes on his inheritance to his great-nephew, Thomas McGregor, who's as every bit of a control freak as you can imagine. The animals nearby initially believe that the house belongs to them since it was left vacant for some time and that they could do whatever they want in it. It isn't until when Thomas moves in that it becomes a battle of wits between man versus nature to see who can go out on top. So in answer to the question if I liked this movie or not, well, to tell you the truth, not really. And I'll tell you why. When it comes to movies based off children's books, TV cartoons, and comic strips, many of the adaptations tend to get lost in translation onto the big screen in live-action form. And this movie seems to be no exception. Granted, it does throw in some heart and charm to try to make the characters more likable, yet with the overabundance of unfunny gags, confusing jokes, and weak slapstick, it ultimately results in what I feel to be a not quite so pleasurable experience. It doesn't even do the original books a whole lot of justice. If you want to encourage today's kids to read children's books that have been in existence for more than 100 years, that's great. But doing it with unfunny humor and slapstick, and not to mention modernizing it a little bit, isn't really going to cut it. Providing only a little substance of what made the original books good in the first place isn't exactly going to win your audience back again and again. To this movie's credit, at least it's not insulting like the live-action Cat in the Hat movie was. Now that one really sucked. But I digress. It's not the worst live-action adaptation I've ever seen. As a matter of fact, it's relatively harmless, generally speaking. I just doubt a whole bunch of kids and adults would go hopping mad in excitement over it. With that said, I give this movie on a scale of 1 to 10, a 4.5. It's not horrible by any means. It's pretty much less than adequate. This is Renton Whitetail having given us $2 and saying, this movie, well, I can't exactly say it sucks, really. It's just not all that good. But don't take my word for it. I'll let you be the judge and decide for yourself. See you guys later.